Really nice sound there. So, my name's Jerry, as you probably all know, um, and I've been invited to share my thoughts on the Psalms. And the Psalm I've chosen, Psalm 143. I'll tell you about the reason why I chose it later on. It works. And I don't know if it's a subheading or whatever, but it says, "My soul thirsts for you." So some of the Psalms have a little subtitle afterwards, and so "My soul thirsts for you" is kind of the theme of this. Oops, this isn't working. So I don't know if you have a favourite psalm or favourite Bible verse. Psalm 23 is very popular. The Lord's my shepherd. But for me, Psalm 40, the first few verses of Psalm 40, I'll get onto Psalm 143 in a minute. And the first few verses of Psalm 40, "I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. And he put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God." And the reason that's my favourite is because that's what I feel God did to me. I didn't realise I was in a pit, but I feel that 45 years ago, he lifted me out of something and he put me on a different path. He gave me Sue as a companion to keep me on that path. And whatever song I was singing beforehand, I don't mean like physically singing songs, but whatever tune I was blaring out, he put a different tune in me and led me on a different path. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even realise I was in a pit. I didn't realise I needed saving. I was quite happy. I don't know, but I'm grateful. And even in recent months, when we go through sort of family issues and tribulations and whatever, we look back, Sue and I, and we're just grateful for God that He did that He lifted me out of where I was going and put me on a path where He wanted me to go. So what is your pit? My pit, I could tell you what the things that were in it: alcohol, family issues, but what pit are you in, or were you in? Some of the dictionary definitions of a pit are a hole in the ground, like too big that you can climb out, so someone else has to get you out. A long trench or a trough, you're walking up and down, backwards and forwards. A depressed state, so you could be in the pit of despair. You could be, very weak emotionally, and you just can't rouse yourself to get dressed, to eat, or whatever, So your pit could be something like that, or it could be, as my grandson loves Formula One, a pit lane, an area where you can go in and be refueled and be restored and have broken bits fixed and stuff. It also could be a place to fight, like a bear pit, or somewhere where you pit your wits against somebody, which could be work, or wherever, So it was interesting to me that that a pit could be so many different things rather than a hole in the ground. Right, Psalm 143 is thankfully a short psalm towards the end, a psalm from David. And the subtitle of this is "My Soul Thirsts for You." So I'm going to read the first part because 12 verses is too long for me. Psalm 143. "Hear my prayer, O Lord. Give ear to my pleas for mercy. In your faithfulness, answer me. In your righteousness, enter not into judgment with your servant. For no one living is righteous before you. For the enemy has pursued my soul. He has crushed my life to the ground, and he has made me sit in darkness like those long dead. Therefore my spirit faints within me, my heart within me is appalled. I remember the days of old, and I meditate on all that you have done. I ponder the work of your hands. I stretch out my hands to you, and my soul thirsts for you like a parched land. I'll say that again. I stretch out my hands to you. My soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Answer me quickly, O Lord. My spirit fails. Hide not your face from me, lest I be like those who go down to the pit. So we come to that word again, the pit. David here is desperate. You know, his enemies are pursuing him, and his spirit is crushed, and he's begging God, don't hide from me. You know, I've got nowhere else to turn. I need you. I remember I remember the things that we used to do, you know, the days of old, you know, and I remember all those things, you know, but at the moment I'm in a bad place. You know, I need you, God. Is that something that we can relate to? Is that something that people, you know, daily, weekly, every now and then, we come to a place where we just can't do it anymore. We can't live on our own strength, you know. And we sometimes have people to turn to physically, but sometimes there isn't anyone, and we're just in our own desperate place, you know, and we kind of just long that God will just intervene. He'll just come down and, you know, just change things, change the situation, change the scenery, you know. And as we go on in the psalm, carrying on from verse 7 into verse 8, David says, let me hear in the morning of your steadfast love. So it kind of gives an idea that the night before he's had a bad time, and he's poured out his heart to God, and now he's like, I'm going to go to bed, but in the morning, let me hear of your steadfast love. Let all this be gone from me, you know, all this despair, all this worry. For in you I trust. Make me know the way I should go, for to you I lift up my soul. Deliver me from my enemies, O Lord, and I have fled to you for refuge. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Let your spirit lead me on level ground. For your name's sake, O Lord, preserve my life. In your righteousness bring my soul out of trouble, and in your steadfast love you will cut off my enemies, and you will destroy all the adversaries of my soul, for I am your servant. So what David is saying is that in the morning I want to hear about your love. You know, and I'm trusting you to show me the way. You know, I've run to you for safety because nowhere else I can go. No one else is going to protect me. And so please teach me to do your will. I don't want to be in this position anymore, you know, or again. And let your spirit guide me, you know. So David understands that God's spirit is going to be the thing that guides him. You know, with all the riches that David had, you know, with all with everything that he had at his disposal and what people thought of him, he wanted God's spirit to be the thing that led him. And as powerful as David was, he ends by saying, you know, I'm your servant, you know, I'm God's servant. Don't know however many servants David had, but he wanted to be God's servant. Now, my reason for choosing Psalm 143, I was reading it at the time that Aaron messaged me. It was on the daily Bible app that I kind of follow. But 143 is a code that Sue and I used to use when we were dating, going out. What does it mean? It says, I love you, 143. And when we used to write, because we started going out before the internet existed, and so we had to physically write letters to each other, and at the bottom we'd put 143, which meant I love you. Yeah, one letter, four letters, three letters, 143. So it's kind of been a code for I love you. And David is actually saying to God, I love you, you know. I love you, and I want to be with you. I want you to protect me. and it doesn't sound like a love song because it's all groaning and desperation. But however, that's what we do when you love somebody. You go to them not just for the good times, but for all the bad times, and you go to them for protection and shelter. And that's the end of my notes. Apart from the explaining that we're going to do a song called "Better Is One Day" by Matt Redman, which is actually Psalm 84. The tag of that is "My soul longs for the courts of the Lord," which is similar for my soul thirsts for you. So you've got 3 psalms today: Psalm 40, Psalm 143, and now Psalm 84. But the emotions in Psalm 84 or in this song are very similar to Psalm 143. Thank you very much.